Hey guys, Dave here with my good buddy Edward as usual. Say hello, Edward.
Hey guys,
Come on, you know the drill by now.
of course.
So lately it seems like we've been doing a lot of tutorials on Minecraft circuits because I know that those are the most complexing things in the game. So I'm sure there's no shortage of you out there that are geniuses at redstone circuitry like me and Edward here, and you probably appreciate these videos. So I think that's kind of what we'll stick with. But got a new piston redstone circuit project thing to show you here. What you're looking at is how I typically build my storage rooms. In fact, this is one of the things I always build first when I start a new map, just so I have a place to store everything I need to. And it happens to be one of the things that I do really well in Minecraft, I think. So say that you've built a really nice castle, keep, or stronghold, fort, what have you, and you decide to throw a house party to have your buddies come help you celebrate. Let's also say that you were working really hard in the mines all day and you came out with a buttload of diamonds or something that you don't necessarily want your friends taking with them, just in case one of them happens to be a kleptomaniac for one reason or another. So how do you protect your goods and still allow your friends to see your hard work? Well, like this. Complete storage lockdown. As you
Very
can
nice.
see, there is nothing left but a flush wall. I almost said flesh wall. That's pretty sexy.
Might look good as a flesh wall.
Yeah, can I get a that's what she said? I could have hidden the garbage disposals and the furnaces, I guess, just to make it even less impressive, but I was a little lazy. At any rate, I think we've got a nice little device here, and you wouldn't believe how uncomplicated this actually is. Let's take a walk outside and I'll show you what we're up against. And if you swing around here, you can see that all that we really have is a bunch of redstone, a bunch of repeaters, and a bunch of pistons. Pretty simple stuff. I'll show you how all that's wired here in a moment. First, I want to go over a few of the basics regarding chests. Alright, so in front of you, we have a couple of model examples here. In this first example, we have just a chest. Obviously, you right-click the chest, you can access the contents inside. One thing to keep in mind about chests is that when you place a block, they always have a tendency to face north, I believe. Can't really tell which direction the clouds are moving. By the way, if you didn't already know it, clouds travel north, or so I'm told. So when you put a chest down and there's nothing beside it or behind it, it has a tendency to face north. If you want to change that, you put a block behind it and it will face the proper direction. The trouble with that, however, is that if you place a block on top of it, you cannot access the contents inside. So keep blocks off the chests. In this second model, it's just a piston connected to a chest with a lever here to work it. And this is one of the things that I've discovered with the new piston mod is when you turn the lever on, the piston does not activate. So apparently you are not able to push chests with the piston, which makes our job a little more difficult, but not really, as you'll see. Alright, over here I have a makeshift room, and we're going to use this to actually build what you saw in there. Well, a mock-up of that, much smaller scale, but it's the same principle. I'm going to start with 2 chests on the bottom, and then 2 chests on the top. If you remember correctly, chests don't work if there's blocks on top. So we'll remove those blocks. And then for the center, to put the block there, it's actually not a block at all, but another little trick. Get myself some stairs here. If you put stairs on top, these blocks allow light through, which allows you to access the chests. So the chests do work now, but we now have this eyesore of stairs looking at us. When you place stairs, the stairs will always face you, so what you can do instead... Let me break those blocks out. Is to place the stairs from behind, which means you're going to have to dig into the wall to actually accomplish this. But when you swing around the other side, you can see that it looks like a typical block, except from the sides or the back. And when you do that, of course, as I mentioned, the chest still works. And you can do that on the top as well. Of course, it doesn't matter what direction those stairs face because you won't see them as it'll be embedded in the ceiling. But again, from this side, you can see the chest is still facing north and not facing us. And we can remedy that by placing blocks behind it, like so. So there's the basic setup of what we want, and to get this working, I think the first step should probably be to add the pistons in. So once again, I'm going to break out these center blocks here, break out the blocks above as well, and below. And let me get myself some pistons. I'm still getting used to this too many items mod. Very nice, but I still have to do some searching. Alright, the pistons are going to go one block behind. Right there and there. And then down below, I'll have to build this up. Okay, and then we need to place some pistons down here on the bottom. And then of course up here at the top, which means I need to build a little more up here. I'll put some blocks on top of the stairs. And keep in mind that the pistons face you when you place them, so you're going to need to go underneath. Just move your camera accordingly. And then of course we need to throw our blocks in front of the pistons. Now, this center section here is going to be extremely tricky in placing stairs because you have to face this direction to place the pistons first, and then you have to go in from behind to place the stairs. But if you nudge yourself right up against the piston and look slightly diagonally at the chest, you can place the stairs, but you'll trigger the chest when you do that, so you may have to put some blocks here and use those to place the stairs. So I'll place 2 here, and this is why you'll have to dig into the wall. Now if you're using World Edit, this is much easier. But come over here, and voila, we've got our stairs in place. Let me break these out that I placed. Alright, so the chests work. We've got the pistons in where they need to be, and we're ready to get everything wired to work properly. Alright, so if there were walls here, this would look just like a flat. Let me show you how he did it in the storage room over there. This would look just like a flat wall, and the chests are slightly recessed, and you wouldn't tell that there's pistons there. So now what we have to do is get the pistons on the top to push the block down in front of those chests, the pistons on the bottom to push up in front of the bottom chest, and then in the back, the pistons back here need to push the stairs out so that everything is flush. It's pretty simple stuff. When it comes to wiring the pistons down here, that's the trickiest part, so I'll start there. Basically what you have to do is run the wire into the piston, or the block that's attached to these pistons. But if you do the redstone wiring in this manner, it doesn't work, because the line is going beside the block and not actually into the block. So to remedy that, what you do is place repeaters that point into the block, and then you place wire in behind those repeaters, and it automatically attaches to the repeaters. But the pistons will deploy that way. For the middle pistons, those are very simple. What you'll do is place some blocks back here behind the pistons. So those blocks are attached to the pistons. Those are the ones you need to feed the wire into. But a trick with pistons is to just drop the wire on top of the blocks that are attached to the pistons. And then you can do something like this. As long as the wire is running above the blocks on the pistons and it's powered, the pistons will deploy. And the same goes for the top section. Just run the we'll put blocks on top of those pistons, and then you can run the wire across the top of those and they'll deploy as well, as you can see here. I'll go ahead and put torches down so that you can see that in progress. And that's what it looks like from the front. Keep in mind that the pistons will be hidden by the floor and the ceiling, and so it's not going to be evident that there's a chest there. And of course, because there's blocks in front, you aren't able to access the chest. And if you don't put torches on either side or bring attention to it, it looks just like a wall, and people will probably just run right past it. To wire these together, that's a pretty simple task as well. You just need to combine those three. Instead of torches, you'll have lines running between the three, and then have one source of input. I'll show you how we did it over here to give you an example.